the Hammer Down Racing Report. And now your hosts, Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, and Jerry Keyser.
Welcome, race fans, to the Hammer Down Racing Report. Show number 190 for Thursday, July 29th.
190?
190.
Scott, I can't believe we're having this much fun. 190 times?
Yeah, we've done this 190 times. That's
wow.
Getting up there. You may notice that we have some new digs. Did you notice that, Jerry?
Yeah, it looks a lot different than what I'm sitting in front of.
Yeah. It's the Ron Miller Race Cars Studio 2.0.
Yeah.
The Ron Miller Race Cars Bar and Grill.
There you go. We're going to get some...
no flames down here, baby.
Some steak served up a little bit later. So it's kind of an experimental thing here. We'll see how this works. Everything seems to be working fine for now. So hopefully we'll keep things going.
Wait till I get up there. We'll stop it from working well.
Oh, yeah.
There you go. Yeah, and we can have guests here. We got the extra mics and everything that we can set up. So, yeah, we're set to is Larry Jewett still in town, by the way?
Nah, he flew back right after the Summer Nationals race. He flew out.
All right. Well,
smash it open.
He's going to be in the show next week. That's what happens when I leave my phone potted up.
Scott.
It was just telling me that my live video starts on Hammer Down Racing Report on Facebook. That was my notification.
Well,
lucky you. All right, let's start our welcome, race fans. Coming at you live from the Ron Miller Race Car Studio 2.0. It's the Hammer Down Racing Report presented by Oakshade Raceway. Tonight on the show, we are going to be speaking with Bill Brodrick, otherwise known as the Hat Man. You may remember him as the guy you always see in Victory Lane at all the NASCAR races, at least back in...
You'd have to be probably 25, 30 years old to remember that, Scott. I think he's been out of that gig for probably 15 years. We'll find out.
Yeah.
Has it been that long? Well, yeah, we'll find out. He's been in there he started at least in 1980, and he's always in Victory Lane doing what Jerry's got going on there, except for he'd be doing it to the winner and, every 30 seconds or so, putting on a new sponsor hat. More pictures get taken. So he's got all kinds of stories. We'll be talking to him in a little bit.
Hey, look, Larry Jewett says he's not in town. Thank you, Larry.
Larry's going to be on the show next week. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Larry, book a flight. Make sure you get into town Thursday by 7:00, and we got a seat for you right over here. Otherwise, we'll see you on video. That's next week, and we'll talk about that a little bit later.
And we'll have pizza when the show's over.
Why don't we have pizza while the show's going?
Well, there's a thought.
Wait a minute.
I bet you we get more guests in the studio.
We could make this happen.
I think, yeah. Anyway, make sure to like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter at Hammer Report. We have the poll going right now, the Twitter poll for this week. It has to do with should the drivers be consulted about weather delays or not. We'll check out those results. I think that's open for probably another 10 minutes or so. At Hammer Report on Twitter is where that's at. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, like we always are. You can also listen to us on demand on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or check us out on hammerdownracingreport.com.
Cool. You've rehearsed that a few times, haven't you?
It's all written down here.
I thought maybe you had rehearsed it like 190 times.
Make sure to check out Oakshade Raceway this weekend. We're the fastest meet to race every Saturday night. This weekend is the Night of Wheels. We're going to be doing a bunch of bicycle giveaways. Is back for the first time since last year, or not since 2019, because we didn't do it last year due to COVID stuff. So ought to be a lot of bikes to be given away, and the weather looks good for this weekend. Speaking of which,
it's beautiful.
We'll have the weekend weather pit stop with Ron Miller tonight because Ryan Weekman was off. Also coming up a little bit later, the Hammer Down hotline. We got a call for that. How many on the way? Your chance to win a Big D's pizza. And keep an eye on Jerry there because it's important. Details coming up
for the night.
That's your hint for the night. Late model sports and bombers and compacts in action. That's this Saturday night at Oakshade Raceway. Also check out Real Geese Silhouette Decoys, the most technologically advanced goose and duck decoys ever produced, manufactured here in the U.S. Check out realgeese.com or call 419-800-8100. You can check out some of the Real Geese apparel they have on sale on their website. They probably have a hat too. Should get you one, Jerry.
I need to get one. Yeah, I have to talk to Craig about that next time I see him.
Also, thanks to Big D's Pizza, Ron Miller Race Cars, and Freeze Frame Photos. We'll talk more about them a little bit later. Oh, we have a new name. You missed this, Ron. Ron was off last week. The upcoming races,
but it was worthwhile being off.
Is now going to be called the Big D's Racing Menu.
Yes.
All right.
I forgot to put that on here. So,
have we gotten executive permission from Dean to make that happen?
I think that he was. We were throwing that around, and
he was instrumental in approving it.
Yes. And he says,
"Well, okay."
Dean, when I guessed when I was typing our names in, I was like, I don't know which side it's going to show up on, and I guessed wrong. So apparently tonight I'm Ron, and he's Scott. So, Jerry, you got the racing roundup?
Sure do. Let's jump into this week's racing roundup. Sandusky Speedway was in action last week. On Thursday, Clayton Oliver took the Lubrication Supply LLC Renegade feature over Ben Watson and Andrew McCall. Trent Aslaxon took the Precision Paving Pure Stock feature win over Johnny Newman and Kyle Lawson. Jeremy Wiggins took the Ohio Wheelman Series feature over Buck Pertee and Josh Wise. Spencer Atkins took the Beginner Stock feature over Ethan Rosiska and Laney Najedili. On Friday night, Rick Elkins took the Modified feature over Kenny Phillips and Sam Begum. Jeff Abold took the 40-lap ISMA Super Modified feature over Chris Purley and Trent Stevens. On Saturday night, Bill Rabbits took the Pure Stock feature win over Johnny Newman and Wayne Sweeney. In the 100-lap Super Modified feature, Mike Mavetta took the victory over Mike Lichty, and Friday's winner, Jeff Abold, finished third. Attica Raceway Park was in action. Cale Conley from Vienna, West Virginia, led all 30 laps of the AFCS 410 feature Friday night and pocketed $4,000 for his efforts in a close finish over Trey Jacobs. Craig Mitz finished third. Mike Boris won the Attica Oakshade Late Model Challenge Series feature with Ryan Markham and Devin Shields rounding out the podium. Five-time Attica 305 champion Paul Weaver picked up his fifth win of the season in the AFCS 305 feature. Flat Rock Speedway was in action with Brian Bergacker winning the Stan Yee Memorial 150 for the Outlaw Super Late Models on Saturday night after taking the lead on lap 77. Connor Zabosian finished second and Craig Everidge was third. Jeremy Van Hoof won the...
can hear it. I figured I put the little background music, makes it sound more dramatic.
I like it. I didn't know. I was losing my mind.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you could hear it or not. Just keep going. Sorry to interrupt.
I tried not to react. So try to stay professional. You know what I mean? Jeremy Van Hoof won the figure 8 feature with Dennis Wisman Jr. second and Greg Stute in third. Lima Land canceled due to rain. Same with Oakshade Raceway. Fremont Speedway tried to run, but eventually succumbed to the weather. At Shady Bowl Speedways, the Vors Compact Touring Series was in action. Gary Eaton Jr. was quick time and won the feature after starting deep in the field. He survived several late race cautions to hold off Jake Albright and Terry Eaton Jr. in that 40-lap feature. The Herod Septic Solutions Compacts, Josh Sage picked up the quick time with Corey Plunkett winning the dash. Damian Wagle, Andrea Swink won heat races with Nicholas Meade picking up the win in the feature with Ethan Pope second, Corey Plunkett third. Bullet Liner of Dayton Thunder Cars, Buck Pertee was quick time with Scott Drake dominating the feature over Robert Rauch and Brandon Helton. And in the Noble Armor Coating Crown Vics, Jimmy McElfresh was quick time and also won the feature, which was cut short from its normal 20 laps to 16 due to rain. Jimmy won over Chris Prater and Sam Marquis. Did not run the Powder Puff on Saturday night due to the rain. Obviously, that has been rescheduled for this Saturday night at Shady Bowl in the Compact, so ladies will have a chance to take to the track once again this Saturday night at Shady Bowl. In the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series, Turbo Tyler Erb scored the biggest win of his racing career on Thursday night at the I-80 Speedway. Leading all 53 laps, Erb picked up $30,000 in the Lucas Oil Late Model Dirt Series sanctioned event. Erb won over Hudson O'Neill and Brandon Overton. Kyle Bronson pulled away from the pack and cruised to victory on Saturday night at I-80 Speedway, winning the 11th annual Silver Dollar Nationals by more than 10 seconds over runner-up Tim McCready. Bronson took the lead from Chase Jungans on lap 48 and dominated the rest of the race. Earl Pearson Jr. came through the field to finish third. Next up for the Lucas Oil Late Models, the North-South weekend, August 12th through the 14th at Florence Speedway in Union, Kentucky. World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars were in action with Sheldon Hodenshield dominating at Williams Grove Speedway on Friday night. He set quick time to lead all 25 laps for his 6th World of Outlaws NOS Energy Drink Sprint Car Series win of the year on night one of the Summer Nationals. Lance DeWeese charged from 17th starting spot to finish second, and James McFadden finished third. Brent Marks managed a come-from-behind win in Saturday's Summer Nationals finale at Williams Grove, Mark stormed past 90 shots with 10 laps remaining to give the PA Posse its first win with the Touring Series on home soil since May 18th, 2009. He topped Sheldon Haudenschild by just under a second with shots, the leader of the first 20 laps fading to third. Next up for the World of Outlaws sprints, the Big R Shootout at Ransomville Speedway in Ransomville, New York tomorrow, and then the Empire State Challenge at Weed Sport Speedway on Saturday. The Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions were in action with Cap Henry powering his way to the $8,000 to win Friday night win at Lake Ozark Speedway. Henry survived challenges from Zeb Wise, Tyler Courtney, and Gio Scelzi. Wise held on to finish second, and Christopher Bell rounded out the podium. Speaking of Christopher Bell, he earned his first Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions victory in 37 months Saturday night at Lake Ozark Speedway. Bell picked up $10,000 for winning the inaugural Beach Brawl. Cap Henry advanced 7 positions to finish second, followed by Tyler Courtney. Tyler Courtney won the first Flow Racing All-Star Circuit of Champions race held at Humboldt Speedway on Sunday night. Courtney took the lead from Corey Eliason in heavy traffic on lap 27 of the 30-lap event. Eliason held on to finish second, and pole sitter Zeb Wise finished third. Brian Brown won at I-70 Motorsports Park on Tuesday night. The defending Knoxville Raceway champion earned $7,000 for his effort. Shane Stewart, returning from a semi-retirement, finished second, and Gio Scelzi was third. Next up for the All-Stars, Missouri State Fair Speedway tonight, 34 Raceway tomorrow, and Knoxville Raceway on Saturday. In the ARCA Menard Series, it was Ty Gibbs dominating Saturday night's Shore Lunch 150 at Iowa Speedway, leading all but one of 150 laps en route to his 6th ARCA Menard Series win of the season. Last week's winner, Daniel Dye, finished second, and Taylor Gray finished third. Next up for the ARCA Series, the Calypso Lemonade 200 at Winchester Speedway this Saturday at 8 p.m. on MAV TV and NBC Track Pass. In other notes, the Dirt Car Summer Nationals wrapped up their first half of the series. Thursday night, it was Bobby Pierce winning at Tri-City. Friday at Clarksville, it was Bobby Pierce. Saturday at Richmond Raceway, Ashton Winger picked up the win. Sunday, Bobby Pierce won again at Lake Cumberland Speedway, and Monday's event was postponed. Next up for the Summer Nationals, they'll head to Highland Speedway and Federated Auto Parts Speedway at I-55 in Joplin, Missouri on August 14th. And that will do it for this week's Racing Roundup.
Make sure to contact Freeze Frame Photos for all your racing, racetrack photos, racing photos, victory lane photos, whatever. They have them all.
Your favorite racer.
You think they have my favorite racer there?
I'll bet they do.
Of course. And Charlie told me he had pictures of me for you.
Oh, yes. You can give Charlie a call, 419-476-9978. They do special shoots. They can do pretty much anything you want. They got all kinds of cool products, like the calendar deal. It's freeze frame photos, special moments frozen in time. Also, don't forget to order Big D's Pizza, or you can get a sub or some ribs or some chicken, whatever you prefer there, and more. You can get the and more too. The garlic boat. That was freaking awesome. Big D's out there in Clyde. Give them a call, 419-547-1444. Order online at orderbigdspizza.com. Big on taste, not on price. And I think we should give Bill a call here. If you've seen a picture of Bill, you would know who he is. He's got,
as soon as you see him.
As soon as unfortunately, he called me out of the blue yesterday, and I was like, our original guest didn't kind of backed out. So I was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow night? So it's kind of how things worked out. But he's got that beard, big, huge, tall guy, almost looked like a wrestler. I think I read some things that said he was described that way. So let's get him on the phone here and learn more about Bill Brodrick, the Hat Man.
He said, hopefully.
What do you mean, hopefully? There's no hopefully. He's got his cell phone on him all the time, he said.
Yeah, well, he's in.
Hello.
Hey, Bill.
How you doing?
Pretty good. Scott Hammer, Ron Miller, Jerry Keyser for Hammer Down Racing Report. You're on the air.
Great. What time is it?
It is 7:16 our time.
Oh, hey, the time's schedule. Okay, can you call me back in about 5 minutes?
In about 5 minutes? We can do that.
Yeah. Okay, because I'm going to the John right now.
Oh,
I gotta take a pee.
That's way too much information.
TMI.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we'll call you back.
Yeah.
Well, I think
I guess we forgot to tell him there was an hour difference. Oh, Scott.
I think that's the
Scott,
first time
Scott.
that's happened. How
Some people don't give a shit. Obviously, Bill does.
If you look in the comments, my friend Jackie Olam telling us that she saw him yesterday. We actually watched Stroke Race yesterday. And
he was in the
Bill
movie?
is in that movie. Yes, he is in the movie. Makes an appearance in Victory Lane. Yes, that was very cool. So very.
Well, we'll give him a couple minutes to finish up his business there. In the meantime, we'll go through some racing news. Kyle Busch, he's been having a lot of fun on his vacation. He was seen in a video twerking that I did not watch, and I'm glad. And then he was in a golf cart that was pulled over by a police golf cart in the Bahamas. And apparently he had been drinking. He wasn't driving. That was pretty much it on that. There wasn't any.
Did they know who he was?
He had like a fake press conference the next day, just kind of making fun of the whole thing.
I see.
Anyways, whatever. You guys probably heard about this. On July 15th, Kossuth County Speedway in Iowa hired a fill-in announcer, Lon Olkey, who went on a long rant about respecting the flag and then giving his opinion of the NFL considering using the Black National Anthem. Olkey, a full-time announcer at Fairmount Speedway in Minnesota, has the support of his home track's promoter, John McCorkle. Because John McCorkle
for his rant,
yes,
okay.
the track that he did it at Kossuth in Iowa, they kind of denounced everything. He said, we had a fill-in announcer. What he said doesn't reflect the views here, and I think it was a flow racing race, and they pulled that video down. And
they fired him, but he didn't work there anyway.
It's great to have your opinion, but speaking as an announcer, that's not the proper place for that. I mean,
you represent the track you work for.
It is not your platform. Yeah, it's not your platform to spew out what you feel. I mean, whether or not you agree with them, that's irrelevant. It's just the wrong platform there. But anyways, since his home track supporter there in Minnesota is supporting him, I guess they're losing sponsors. True Value has pulled out of their sponsorship.
Here's the trick on that. True Value, the corporate end of it, is the one that denounced it. It was a local True Value store that still sponsors the track. They have not lost their sponsorship.
Okay, I did not know that part. Good thing we got you on here.
I was reading about that.
Scott, we've been fact checked.
Fake news. Meyer Shank Racing officials have announced that
my name to Zuckerberg.
Helio.
Good job, Mark.
Helio Castroneves.
Yeah, that guy.
It's Elio. They call him Elio. But if you're
Helio,
is he? What is he? What is his nationality?
Brazilian, I think.
Okay, yes. I'm thinking Spanish. In Spanish, it would be pronounced
Helio.
Or something like that. But Elio Castroneves.
How many is a Brazilian?
He's going to return. It's Portuguese. Then will return to. I totally lost my train of thought. He's going to return to the team, Meyer Shank Racing, to race full-time in the NTT IndyCar Series next season. This year, he was only originally scheduled to do 4 races. That's why he had time to do all the SRX stuff. So next year, after winning the Indy 500, he is going to be running a full season for him. So I think that's kind of what he's looking for to do.
Back to full-time, do we see a 5-time Indy 500 champion?
Possible.
Let's hope so. The crowd went wild this year. Let's do it again.
If someone's going to do it, Elio, Tony Kanaan, guys like that have put their whole heart and soul into the sport is who I want to see do it.
Yep.
Reigning NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott and NTT IndyCar Series veteran Connor Daly will compete in the third Driven to Save Lives BC 39 on August 18th through the 19th at the dirt track at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Elliott will compete in the USAC NOS Energy Drink National Midget Championship event for the very first time. So, and I believe they canceled that last year due to COVID. They didn't run the BC 39.
I've seen an awful lot of NASCAR guys running on dirt lately.
Yeah.
Guys with very little dirt background. I like it.
Yes. We'll do a couple more stories here just to make sure that
everything comes out okay.
Yes. Nick Hoffman will fill in for Scott Bloomquist for the 31st running of the Prairie Dirt Classic at Fairbury Speedway. So he's going to be running. He's been doing great in his modified. He's going to be running Bloomquist's late model. Bloomquist is sitting out due to a loss of sensation in his right leg. That's all I couldn't find any more information on that. I don't know what's going on with that. Doesn't sound like a good thing though.
No.
I know he's had a lot of medical issues over the years though, from falling on off a trailer and
Yeah.
Tony Breitinger will become the first Arab American female driver in ARCA Menard Series racing competition. Her debut will be this Saturday at Winchester Speedway. And I believe he's done. So we'll get back to Tony here. We'll answer. Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome back.
Yeah. Well, I had to answer nature's call.
Oh, well, that's we don't want to interrupt that. We're glad you want to give you plenty of time to get everything taken care of.
Well, yeah, because I know I hate to have to interrupt our conversation. That's for sure.
So, in your former career, did that ever happen?
Let me see. No, I don't think so. I made it happen to David Pearson one time, but other than that, we were all right.
Okay, Scott, back to you.
All right, we're speaking with Bill Brodrick, the Hat Man, from I guess. How did you get started as being the Hat Man, and seeing you on a weekly basis in Victory Lane? How did all that come to be?
Well, I went to work. I was a journalist. I wrote for the Cincinnati Enquirer, and I had a daily radio show on WKRC, Taft Broadcasting, in my hometown of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I went to work in January of 1969 for Union 76. Later become Union Oil. It was Union Oil, California, but Union 76. As the PR manager for the racing division. And my first race was Daytona 500 in 1969, working for the company. And we had the first time we had the race stopper corps of our girls who helped present the trophies in the Victory Lane ceremonies and all that kind of stuff.
I remember that.
And that was the start of me being in Victory Lane, because I had to be in there with the race stopper corps, and we had to be there anyway to help promote visuals of the company. But it was a zoo. It was an absolute. Nobody was getting anything done. The photographers were all screaming and hollering because they couldn't get pictures, and the TV guys were all bent out of shape and whatever. And so I'm big and ugly and have a loud voice, and so I wanted to get us publicity. So I just kind of moved in and said, wait a minute, let's put a little order into this thing. And it started out slowly. But everybody seemed to say, hey, this is working. This works. And by 2/3 of the season going over, everybody kind of expected. My contemporaries were happy because I looked out for everybody. My philosophy always was, if STP got a good picture or promotion, we being Union Oil, Union 76 would get good identification too. That would carry through all the way around. So, and that's how we got started with it, and it just grew from there. The promoters were happy to have somebody kind of run things. NASCAR at that time didn't give a hoot. They all wanted to go home. And so it's just a matter of circumstances. Right place, I guess, right time. I enjoyed it. The company came out good. Everybody, it was a win-win for everybody.
So what year did you start doing that on a consistent basis that you were
1960. That was when I went to work, 1969.
It was that long. Wow.
And by mid-season,
I worked for the company. Union Oil California was sold in 1997 to Tosco Corporation. It was an oil company up in the East Coast. They didn't have stations, but they never even knew they bought a racing division. And I almost completed 29 years. It was at the end of the season, November, and the new broom sweeps clean, as they say, and the new boss for the racing division called me, was going in. I was ready to make plans. I wanted to get 30 years in. I was ready to retire after 30 years, but I was coming up on the end of 29, and I wanted to go in. They called me in, and he told me, quote, "I don't need you anymore." So I was out the door. So that was the end of my career at Union Oil as director of handling all the public relations and publicity for the racing division worldwide.
So did you walk away from racing after being told to hit the door?
Well, a little bit. I live in a small town of Algonquin, Illinois, which is about 40 miles northwest of Chicago. And that's not big racing country. And if I was living in North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, somewhere where most of the NASCAR teams were, and all, I would have probably worked pretty hard to try and go to keep busy in the job. But there just isn't that kind of work up here. And I walked pretty good from Union Oil. They treated me it was a great company to work for, absolutely fabulous. And when I left them, they treated me very well. And so what I did is I put 29 years of racing experience to good use. I bought a saloon in Algonquin. A tavern came up for sale. I bought it. So I became a saloon keeper. And I kept that for 11 years. And my son went over to run. It was a family deal, and my wife finally he took over. The 2011, the depression hit us pretty bad, and I just got out of it. But I never worked so hard in all my life as when I owned that saloon. Hell, I worked 29 years for the company doing my hobby, and then I had to go to work 24/7 working for me and a bunch of other people.
So you're saying your second boss was a jerk?
Yes, he sure was. But anyway, it all worked out. Life is good. And I'm in great health for my age. I've got arthritis fairly bad. I try and keep up with it. I don't go to races. I can't get in for one thing, and I'm not going to spend $100 for a ticket.
They won't give you a ticket?
Well,
You're like a legend.
I'll tell you what I do. I have a lifetime credential from ARCA, which is in Toledo.
Yep.
And I can go to any ARCA race because I was awarded a lifetime credential from ARCA. So I could go to an ARCA race if I wanted to go, but there's none around our area up here, and so I don't go.
So who gave you that credential? Was that John or was that Ronnie Drager?
No, John Markham had passed away.
Okay.
Drager gave it to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So how many hat changes do you think that you've made throughout your career there?
Oh God, I have absolutely no idea. We would go in the beginning. It wasn't that bad. I mean, we had Goodyear. We had ourselves. We had maybe the race sponsor might have a hat. The sponsor on the car, like Richard Petty would have STP or Mountain Dew or Budweiser. They give a name. They may have a hat, but that was about it. But then NASCAR started with all the auxiliary sponsorships, and part of their deal on selling their program was, hey, we'll get you can have your hat in victory lane, and you're always with the winner. So everybody that had a decal on the car ended up having a hat in victory lane to get the picture made. And so that's how many we went through. However many decals were on the car, usually we had boxes of them, and the NASCAR guy would be there to make sure that we got the hats, and that's how we started the hat dance.
So that was actually my question. So you weren't in charge of figuring out which hats had to be there. The hats were provided to you, and you were just like,
in a way. I always went, he who spends the most gets there first. Well, we always had the race sponsor. I mean, that's extremely important to take care of those people. And in those days, Winston came on board. Extremely spending tons of money. So we would always go with Winston first, the race sponsor. Then because I was running it, I always made sure Union got in there real early for the pictures. And then from that point on, we just took whoever I was handed a hat for. But we always tried to look after the car sponsor, the race sponsor, the series sponsor, and my company were the four main that I worried about.
Now, was there a timing element involved here? Was it 20 seconds on each hat, or how did you determine when?
The timing element was when the photographer said he had a picture.
Okay.
Next.
Awesome. So when you were watching the race, did you get to actually see much of the racing? Where were you before? During the races?
I was in the press box.
Okay, so you got to watch the races.
Yeah, I'm a PR. I'm an old school PR guy, and so I came from the journalist end, and so I knew all the people. I knew all the journalists. I know all the TV guys, and then my job was to be in the press box to give any help I could. Give any help I could to anybody. That was my job.
Now, did you have favorites that you were rooting for that that you would get to meet in victory lane?
All of them, everybody. I loved them all. I love every race driver deserved to win as far as I was concerned. I never had a problem with, and some are a little harder to work with than others. But other than that, most of them were really easy to work with. I had no problems with anybody.
Who was the Kyle Busch of your day?
Kyle Busch of my day. Oh God,
he's difficult.
He's good. But...
I'd probably say Earnhardt.
Yeah.
I mean, Earnhardt was in a class by himself.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, he liked to run everything. It was his show, but he'd pull your chain half the time too. I mean, that's the way that worked. Earnhardt loved to spray with a champagne. And the first thing he always was, I picked the champagne in victory lane as far as NASCAR goes because I had a little side deal going with my Chandon. I was in Europe for a number of races, did some Formula One and some IndyCar, and so we had Moet Chandon, and they were very happy to be in victory lane. And I always had a real bomb in there. And when Earnhardt started when Earnhardt was winning races and we had the champagne, the first thing he wanted to do was spray everybody with a champagne. Brodrick, where's the champagne? I want the champagne. Well, the worst thing in the world to do is do it first because he'd spray all the photographers and the TV guys and their lenses would be covered with champagne and they'd be all wet and nobody'd get any pictures and everybody'd scream and holler. So I couldn't give him the champagne until later in the ball game. Then we would spray the champagne. And then he would be a happy camper. But until then, if he didn't have the champagne, if we had a race without it, he was really miserable. He'd mumble, grumble, and wouldn't want to do this, and I don't want to do that. And then, but the funny part is, whenever he'd give you a rough time, he'd go over and he'd look at you, and he'd give you that wink, and you know that he was just pulling your chain.
Nice. So, who was the hardest person to work with, without naming names?
Oh, no, I never had a hard time.
Okay.
Never had. Everybody, see, that was the good thing. When you win a race,
you're in a good
you
mood.
haven't got any complaints. Yeah. It's a whole different ball game. You're happy. And everybody comes into victory lane. They're not mumbling and grumbling. Oh, shit, I won that race. What the hell did I win that race for? I didn't want to win that race. You don't have that. Everybody's happy in victory lane. And so that made it work out real well.
Was there ever any sponsor issues where, maybe there was some conflict with a primary sponsor in a car and a hat that you put on, like a Coke and Pepsi kind of thing?
Well, no, I knew. I mean, I'm being in the business. I was smart enough to know what that was going. But there were a couple of times, like when Coca-Cola sponsored the 600 or the Coca-Cola race in Charlotte. They were a big sponsor. I remember one time Pepsi was with Darrell Waltrip. And he had a deal with Darrell Waltrip because he always had a Pepsi in his hand. I mean, it was one of them Coke Pepsi deals. And, they got all bent out of shape. Jack Arute, who you may know as from television and announcing and all of that, was working PR for Walter, who had the Pepsi Cola deal, was working for Junior Johnson in PR and had the Pepsi and was always pushing the Pepsi. And they got all bent out of shape. They carried a route. The cops carried a route out of Victory Lane, and Darrell was smart enough. He knows what was going on. That we got that handled, but that didn't happen very often. Very often, mainly because I didn't let it happen. I mean, you don't want conflict in front of 36 photographers and a half a dozen television stations. You don't want that. So you just plan things accordingly, and everybody worked real well.
So what's the strangest thing that ever happened while you were in Victory Lane?
Strangest thing that ever happened? Oh God, I've got to think on that one. I don't know. I can't say strange.
And anytime that things didn't go smoothly.
I tell you what was different when we were in Japan, when NASCAR went to Japan.
That's right.
And ran a race in Japan. That Victory Lane was a little bit strange because they had some nice young ladies there, and the people who were sponsoring the race, and we had to play the game because my Japanese is very limited and their English was non-existent, but everything worked out all right. But it was a little strange that our sign language worked, and then that all went well. But other than that, I remember we had a Formula One race in Las Vegas, that Victory Lane, but those were all right. Everybody worked well. I really can't say we ever had a strange happening in Victory Lane. I really can't.
Okay. Now, we know you did the Cup races for NASCAR. Did you do the I guess it was the Busch, yeah, Busch back. That was like Nationwide. No, that was before that. Did you do the Busch Series races as well?
Yeah. Okay. I did whatever race was at a racetrack.
Okay.
And I only got into trouble one time, and it was at a Busch race. We were in Rockingham, and what's his name? Number 24 driver. Jeff Gordon was just started and was running in the Busch Series, and he won the Busch race at Rockingham. Well, he pulled in a victory lane. Of course, the Busch guys are there popping the beer cans and spraying and stuff. Oh, it hit the fan. Because afterwards they said he wasn't 21 years old. And here they had all the Busch. Now, he never drank any. I remember that specifically. He never drank. But they were spraying the Busch beer all over. It was a typical Victory Lane. But he was under 21. And they came to me later. Well, I never even thought about him being under 21. And we couldn't put a stop to it once it started. But I'll never forget that one. That was the only time I ever, quote, got into trouble, I guess you might say, on running a Victory Lane.
Now, we briefly talked earlier, Bill, that you have a film credit to your resume being in Stroker Ace. How was the atmosphere for that?
I have two credits. I did Stroker Ace, and I did another one called Born to Race, which never hit the big screen. It was filmed in Charlotte, most of it. I've seen it on TV. But yeah, I did Stroker. We were in Stroker. That was a lot of fun. That was really great. you have to take that film for what it was. It was a comedy. It wasn't a documentary. It wasn't a true life story. But we had great time doing that.
So you're not only a Victory Lane manager, but you're also a movie star.
I'm sorry. Say again, please.
I said you're not only the Victory Lane manager, but you're also a movie star.
Well, I'll tell you what, I spent 25 years in the union in SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and that movie paid a few dollars, believe it or not. So I certainly am not going to claim status as a star. I'd be happy to even say walk on, but I'm told that once you have a screen credit on the screen, it stays in there forever, in the union and in Hollywood and whatever. So I got 2 of them, and there we are.
Very good.
I think cool. you should be in the Hollywood Walk of Fame. I'm just saying.
No, not quite. Not quite. If I get that just wouldn't work too well.
What about the NASCAR Hall of Fame?
I have reservations on the NASCAR Hall of Fame. No, not for me personally. I don't belong in the Hall of Fame. Hell no. But the NASCAR Hall of Fame rubs me the wrong way in the fact that until they put Smokey Yunick, until the France family authorizes and lets Smokey Yunick go into the NASCAR Hall of Fame, it's just another Hall of Fame.
Okay. So what is your opinion of the state of NASCAR today with the playoff system?
Well, I like to watch the end of the races. I'm not real keen on the heat race format, the Saturday night format, the heat races, and then the big finish and all. It's changed drastically. It's all business. It's all big money now. And there's a lot of, it's all cookie cutters, the cars. They would like to have 40 cars go across the finish line all at the same time. Yeah. That ain't going to happen. The drivers are pretty well regulated. There are no characters anymore in NASCAR.
Lack of personality.
You personality. You don't have it. And I thank God every day that when I was in the business, I spent over 30 years as a journalist with a company. And then later on, I was still in some racing because I did some work with General Motors on the Le Mans effort. But the 70s, the 80s, and the early 90s, a lot of people call the golden age of stock car racing. And I firmly believe that because they raced cars that looked like stock cars. They had characters, the mechanics. It was just a whole different family, fan-oriented, super terrific sport. It was one of a kind in those days. And today, to me, it's overregulated. It's just too regulated. And NASCAR controls everything, and the big money controls everything. And it's just different. It's still racing, but if I want to see some good racing, I'll go over to where I'm at, Sycamore Speedway, which is a good quarter-mile dirt track down in Sycamore, Illinois, or I'll go up to Slinger up in Wisconsin. Or maybe I'll go to Eldora. You can't beat that kind of racing. That's where the racing's at as far as I'm concerned now.
And a lot of the NASCAR guys like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson, they're doing a lot of that dirt track racing.
Yeah, they sure are. And I think that Smoke has done a terrific job with new series, the SRX Series.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I love it. I think that is terrific. They're doing some things that are different, but they're putting on a good race for the fans. And you got to be able to drive it, and I like that. I think it's a good series. I wish them all the luck, and I think they'll be a big success.
Now, if Tony asked you to come be the Hat Man next year for that series, would you come out of retirement for that?
I'd be on a plane in a heartbeat. As much as travel is hard these days and age. And getting around, fighting the airports. Of course, the pandemic didn't make anything any easier. But Yeah, smoke a car, I'd be forced to have to say yes.
Now, if you had a choice, do you prefer late models or sprint car racing?
I love sprint car racing, open wheel racing, I would call it. I like Formula One. I really like Formula One from the technical side. It's a run with your brung, and of course they got the new car coming in next year on Formula One, but it's still so highly technical, and I really like it. I like the IndyCar series. I like open wheel racing, and I like sports car racing. I've been involved in sports car racing. I went for years from 1980, 81 to 2002, I guess it was, to Le Mans every year. And I got involved in helping Chevrolet take the Corvettes over to Le Mans. I headed up the exploratory team, they called it, in 1989. And I worked for Herb Fischel, who's director of racing for General Motors, and took him over there because I had the experience of being there. I was there with Billy Hagan when he ran his cars, and I was there with the Buicks when they ran their cars. And I love Le Mans. I love that race. It's a world event, and if you ever have a chance to go to Le Mans for the 24 hours, by all means do it. And I recommend that to anybody because it's just a happening. That's all it is. It's just a big happening. But yeah, I really do. I like open wheel racing. I grew up with the sprint cars, and the old USAC sprint cars is what I covered back in the early '60s. Because I started in the media in '64. I had my first radio show. I worked for a radio station, had a racing program, and it progressed from there. But in those days, I would be in Winchester and Eldora and Dayton and you name it, a short track whenever the sprint cars were running.
Have you ever gotten in and raced in a race car yourself?
I did a couple celebrity things, but that's all. I've never been in a real race with real racers. Let's put it that way. I did a couple celebrity races and I won them.
Nice.
I did one, but that was fun and I enjoyed it. And I've gone fast. I've driven some cars, but I've never been in a race. Now I'm not good enough.
Well, the races you won, were you your own hat person? Were you changing your own hat?
Well, that was long before I ever went to work and started the hats.
Okay.
Yeah, that was back in the old days, and when I was in the media side of the business.
All right. One last question I have for you. Do you have one favorite victory lane story? One time that kind of stands out?
Oh, well, there's a number of them that kind of stand out. You cut me off anytime you want. When Richard Petty won 200, that was very special.
Yep.
That was fantastic. Not only because he won, but Richard was so great to work with in victory lane. He knew exactly what to do, and he worked with me. He'd come in, and I always have a cup of milk for him. Richard had a bad stomach, and have an aspirin for him until he got a goodies deal. Then I'd have his goodies, and we'd go, and he'd drink his milk and take his goodies. And he'd always come up and say, "Okay, Bill, let's give them cats what they want." And we go, and he was just, but that 200 was really special. Another special was when Ernie Irvin won a comeback race in New Hampshire. Ernie was lucky to be alive. He was almost killed, as you remember, in a horrible, serious wreck. And he came back, and he won New Hampshire. And I'll never forget that. He pulled into victory lane. And when he pulled in, I said, "Hi, Ernie, welcome home, welcome back." He said, "Bill, it's great to be here." That was very special. And Davey Allison was always great to work with because they have a million of them in the pit crew, and when he won, there wasn't room in victory lane for everybody. I mean, and he was great. And Jeff Gordon was great to work with. Nobody liked to work and win more than Jeff Gordon. And especially when he won at Dover, because DuPont was right up the road a piece. And Jeff is just the most cooperative, super guy to work with. He enjoyed victory lane immensely. And then anytime somebody won for the first time in victory lane, that was always great, because they had no idea what was going on, and they were always happy, and they were extra mercy. I could do anything with those guys the first time they won, but it was that was always really special to have somebody in there for the first time.
So how did you? I came up with another question while you were talking there. I was picturing you putting hats on everybody, and then putting a hat on Jeff Gordon, and he's got a little head. How did you get the hat sized right? Was it just a guess, or?
You learn after a while. I usually just made them big. If you made it as big as it would be, you didn't have to worry about anything.
There you go.
Excuse me. And that's usually what we did. I just would open them up on the holes in the back as big as they would go. Never have a problem.
Awesome. Bill Brodrick, you're definitely a legend, known as the Hat Man. When did that title? When did that be stick? I guess.
Well, it was the fans. It was the people that did it. Television made me the Hat Man, because I was seen by thousands of people after every race, after every television race in victory lane, getting the guy out of the car and getting them in. And if they had time, they would show us putting hats on. If they ran out of time, they wouldn't. But I got so I knew most of the guys that were in the trailer, to the directors and the producers and all the cameramen, especially when TNN was doing all the races. It happened, but television is what made my persona as far as the Hat Man. And people saw me. They didn't know who I was. They didn't know my name. All they knew was I was in there kind of directing victory lane and putting hats on people. So when they saw me, they'd say, "Hey, Hat Man, how you doing? Hey, what's going on, Hat Man?" And then, if you give an autograph, you'd be lucky enough to have someone win an autograph or something. "Hat Man, can you give me?" I always sign Bill Brodrick, the Hat Man, and that's how the Hat Man started. And then I had a feature on. It wasn't 2020. It was on one of those shows back in there. Yeah, it was a Newsday show. Did a feature on me. I had a couple of network features with 3 or 4 million people watching those, and it just that materialized. I had a couple of some feature stories written about me because AP has done some stuff. Just because it was unusual. That's all. It was just different, and it was a different type of thing from racing.
Yeah. What about a book? I think you should write a book if you haven't written one already.
Well, I have it. I'd have to change all the names to protect the guilty. If I did a book.
That's
I
okay.
thought about it, and I thought about doing a memoir, but I just never. And I love to write. And I've written copy, I've written newspaper copy and magazine copy. I've written things all my whole career, and I love writing. God gave me a talent. I never was educated and never went to J school. I just happened to fall into it, to writing for a major newspaper and magazine and stuff. But I just never found the time to sit down and write a book. Never found the time.
Well, if you get the time, I'm sure that there'd be a lot of people interested in it. I definitely would check that out.
Well, I don't know about that.
Even if you change the names of people.
Life, so yeah, I'm sorry.
Even if you change the names of people to protect the innocent.
Yeah, we could do that. Pretty good.
There you go. Bill Brodrick, it's been a pleasure. We appreciate the time.
Listen, it's been a pleasure being with you guys, and I thank you immensely, and I thank all of your listeners and viewers. You're on Facebook. They're watching in. They're the greatest people in the world are race fans.
You know it.
They are fantastic. There's nobody like them. They're loyal, and they never forget you. I get to this day, and I've been out of the loop for a long time, get trading the hero cards. I got 4 trading cards that were out circulated way back, and I still get some every month. I get some in the mail of somebody wanting an autograph on a trading card, and that's because race fans are just the greatest people in the world.
They are.
Awesome. I want one of those. There you go. You can put them in your book. When you write the book, just put one of the hero cards in there, an autographed one.
Okay, there you go.
All right, Bill. You take care of yourself. We'll have to reach out to you again. This has been fun.
Well, very good. I thank you. And as the great Roy Rogers used to say, may the good Lord take a liking to you.
All right. Oh, thanks, Bill. You take care. All right. Bye.
Night, Bill.
There you go. The legendary Hat Man, Bill Brodrick.
That was cool.
Yeah.
It was.
We could talk to him for, I'm sure we could keep going on for hours with that. Maybe we'll make a part 2 at some point.
That would be awesome.
He seems to like to talk there, and he's a real nice guy. It's awesome. And I always thought he was employed by NASCAR. I thought he was he worked for NASCAR in Victory Lane. I didn't realize that.
For some reason, I thought R.J. Reynolds employed at the cigarette company. I was thinking that's why he got drummed out. I didn't realize he worked.
Well, didn't he wear a Winston or one of those cigarette kind of jackets, or maybe it was just
sometimes
because he was given sponsorship.
Yeah, I'm sure
Winston Cup
probably gave him to him because
my family owned a few Union 76 stations, so I kind of knew the backstory with Bill Brodrick. But
oh well, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, no kidding. We could have used that.
Yeah, thanks for the show prep there. He would have been a great spokesperson for the gas station.
Yeah, absolutely.
Come on down, meet Bill Brodrick, and get your hero card signed.
And pick up your new Ron Miller race car.
There you go. All right, let's get back into the news. It's hard to follow that up with anything at this point, but
right.
Started to mention Tony Breitinger is going to become the first Arab American female driver in ARCA Menards competition. Her debut will be Saturday at Winchester Speedway. That's this Saturday. She's going to be driving the number 25 Venturini Motorsports Triller Toyota. Have you heard of Triller?
I have not heard of Triller.
Apparently, it's a social media thing, and she's big on social media.
What's her racing background, Scott?
As a matter of fact, it's right here. Now I lost my spot here. It'll be the first of a 5-race deal for the 22-year-old racer. She's the all-time winningest female in USAC history with 19 wins.
Really?
So she does have a little
in midgets.
I don't. It didn't say if it was midgets, sprints, or Silver Crown, or what class within USAC, but she's won races in USAC events.
I think Jerry and I both pay some attention to USAC, and
yeah, it's not a name I'm familiar with. Must be a pavement. I
don't know. Well, we'll see how she does.
A whole lot of pavement USAC stuff. So
we'll see how she does in a stock car this weekend.
And Winchester, that's a hell of a track to get your first.
That place is intimidating.
Wow. I watched the Silver Crown race there last week. That was nuts.
Yep.
The NBC Sports Network, as we previously reported, is going to be closing up shop at the end of this year. A lot of the races are on NBC and their family of networks, including NBC Sports Network, including IndyCar and NASCAR. For IndyCar next year, 13 races will be shown via NBC and the free version of Peacock, their app, or their streaming platform, whatever you want to call it. The others will air on the USA Network and or Peacock as well. So a couple networks there. However, at least 2 races will be aired by Peacock Premium, which means you got to pay to watch a couple of races. That's for IndyCar.
Now, does Peacock have a TV subscription, or is this something you'd have to?
It's like Hulu, where
Okay.
I think there's like
Or
a free level.
Netflix.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, Netflix I don't think has a free level.
No,
But
no, they don't have.
Peacock has a free ad-sponsored
Okay.
level, and then they have their premium level where
Okay.
you need to pay to watch some of the shows, including a couple of these races. So there's going to be a few of the races are going to be shown on the free level where you don't need a subscription,
All right.
and a couple of them with the paid subscription. And it sounds like NASCAR may end up going that way as well. I read something earlier, though. Let me finish reading this, though. NASCAR has a contract with Fox and NBC through 2024, but in 2025 things could change. As for NBC, they paid $4.4 billion for essentially half the TV rights in a 10-year deal. NASCAR has stated that some of their programming is likely to move behind a paywall as well. But I had read something before that the original deal through 2024 they couldn't put it behind a paywall. That's what I read. I don't know if that's still true. So I think that the NASCAR races at least will be not behind the paywall.
All right.
So until 2024. So you got some time. There, taking Bill off of the screen. We're not talking to him anymore at the moment. And that's all the news that I have for this
Well,
week.
that was kind of abrupt.
Well,
I got a quick announcement. We got a moment.
is it breaking news?
A little bit for modified racers, especially.
This is a breaking news.
Lima Land Motorsports Park, in conjunction with tomorrow night's Tim Allison tribute, Connected Strategy Advisors out of Lima, Ohio, Percy Jandro and his team are donating $111 to each of the modified heat race winners and $211 to the hard charger in tomorrow night's modified A main at Lima Land Motorsports Park. The extra $11 obviously going toward marking a tribute of Tim Allison, famously running the number 11. Lots of big things happening tomorrow at Lima Land along with that event. $3,511 right now to win for the NRA 360s. We also got the non-wing sprint cars in action. Again, the modifieds with some extra stuff. The stock cars. I don't know if you guys saw me post this yesterday. Indian Lake Sports Park is putting up an $1,100 bonus for each division in their A main for the pole setter or the outside pole sitter to go to the tail if they can win the race from the tail.
So basically, front row starter can go to the tail and take that.
Yep, the pole sitter will get the first choice. If they turn it down, then the outside pole sitter will get it. But if they go to the tail and can come through and win, it's an extra $1,100 in any class tomorrow night. Tony Miller just said something in the chat I forgot all about. Terry Hole, who'd been battling cancer, hadn't been in a race car for a few years, is returning to action tomorrow night at Lima Land Motorsports Park as well, behind the wheel of a Sherman Enterprise modified. That could be fun to watch.
Very good.
Now, you had a Tim Allison thing you had written up that you were going to read. You haven't had a chance to read that yet because it's been rained out, right?
It got rained out, so I will be reading it before tomorrow's A main. Yep, okay. And it's all ready to go. Going to be a great event. I'm excited. I know the NRA 360s are excited. The fans are excited. A lot of people were mad at us because of raining out last week, and we were mad as well. That was an event we really
there was a lot of mad people last weekend.
Yeah,
for different reasons. Not it's Lima. I'm talking to Yeah,
it was everywhere. But and I understand. I understand the frustration. I was as frustrated as anybody. But I tell you what, this is going to work out great, and it's going to be a big night for the fans. Not only is it championship night, so it's our final points race of the year for the modifieds and the stock cars, the NRA guys in action, the non-wing sprint cars. It's family fun night. We're going to have a bounce house, an obstacle course, jousting for the kids. All the drivers are invited to bring their race cars over to the east end of the parking lot for fans to come take pictures, hang out, give out hero cards. And this will all start at 4 o'clock tomorrow. And it's regular admission. There's no added cost for anybody to be there. It's going to be a great, great event.
How about we check out the Twitter poll for this week, which had to do with some frustrations from last week. Should local track promoters consult race car drivers on whether or not to cancel due to weather? Surprisingly, the majority said yes. 54.2%. I can't read that. It's very small on the screen.
Yeah.
29.2% said no, and 16.7% said consult Ryan Weekman. So, that's surprising there.
Very good.
There's a little bit of support there. Yeah. It's always a tough call. I mean, this a position that I don't envy, that I would not want to be in, to have to make a call. Because if you cancel, you're going to piss off people, and the sun comes out, because you don't know what's going to happen. You cancel, sun comes out, and, the track may not be good, but it looks like, oh, it's great weather. Why aren't we racing? Those promoters suck.
Scott,
or if you don't cancel,
and
then the track is crap, then it's like, we should have canceled, and everybody's going to complain. So they're in a no-win situation.
I suspect that what happened at Fremont last weekend was the impetus for your Twitter
Is
poll.
that right? I don't know exactly what happened at Twitter or at Fremont last week. I read a lot of comments.
Fremont worked very hard to get
different opinions. Yeah,
Fremont worked very hard to get the show in. Ron Miller Race Cars had a representative there. So
which way did he vote?
He was just stunned that they even tried to get it in.
Did he vote for saying yeah, let's try and do this?
No, he was just a representative. He wasn't a voting member.
Okay. He didn't have his voter registration.
That's it.
Voter fraud.
Yeah, but this voting by the competitors, I understand Fremont's position last week. The track was marginal. Some of the sprint car racers didn't think that the track was going to be safe. They took a vote, and if it's
the drivers are the ones that
if it's a safety issue, absolutely. The thing I have a problem with is a lot of racetracks have been making a whole lot of decisions based on a vote by the racers, and tracks, it's time to man up and just make your own calls.
There you go. Send your comments and
you send them to Ron.
Call the Hammer Down hotline and let us know.
Oh, there you go.
There we go.
There you go. Speaking of which, we do have a Hammer Down hotline coming up in just a little bit. But if you'd like to call and be on the show, there you go. 419-318-3081. Give it a call anytime, day or night. It's manned by a robot that will answer the phone no matter what. 419-318-3081.
And no matter how crude you are, it'll be polite.
It will be. It'll say the same thing every time you call too. But and chances are most likely that whatever you leave on that voicemail will end up in some format on this show. I can't guarantee that it's going to be played in exactly the same way that it came out of your mouth, but
it might.
There's most of the time it does. So we'll check out this week's Hammer Down Hotline. We had one call coming up here in just a little bit. First, a shout out to Ron Miller Race Cars for race cars, parts, safety, equipment, service, everything a racer needs.
That's me.
The other night I saw that
hand doesn't. Yeah.
He's right here. I can point that way. I don't have to try and figure it out on the screen.
Yeah, you don't have to. I'm sitting here trying to figure it out and make sure I'm pointing the right way.
Backwards. Give Ron a call, 734-856-7223. Did you finally get caught up? I know you've been real busy this year.
Scott, I'm almost at the point where I can start working on the backlog.
Okay.
I've got a couple of trucks to get started on for Fremont and an Oakshade stock car bomber. I have the bare frames here, so yeah.
I prefer giraffe frames or lion frames to bear frames.
I've had a lot of compact questions lately. Do you still build roll cages? And yes, I do. A lot of interest again in building the compacts, so we'll see where that goes.
Let me ask you this: would you build a cage for the Crown Vics that are being run at some of the pavement tracks?
Oh, absolutely.
I know
Ron Miller Race Cars.
Jerry,
there's some stuff going on.
I can build a cage for anything.
Well, I may have some business to drum up for you.
Oh boy,
we can talk. We can talk about that afterwards.
Call him at that
yep,
number.
I will let the folks know.
There it goes. Okay. How about we do how many? Chance to win a Big D's pizza.
How many what?
How many? Well, we'll find out here. Switch back over to the comments here. The buck stats for the person in the chair. Okay. So this week's how many? We've kind of augmented it for tonight. And Jerry, I hope you've been keeping track because I have not.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I won't make.
You'll have to give me a number after the show so I can
Yes.
add that to the whole deal. But this week's how many is this is an addition thing. There's 3 elements. Three.
Ooh, we're getting.
Yeah. Well, but before we do that, let's do last week's how many. Let's get that out of the way.
Oh, so this week's how many was just a tease.
It was for now.
So you folks
until I forget about it and we just move on and
you've got to hang
it.
in there a few more minutes.
Yeah. Last week's how many was how many super modifieds would be at Sandusky Speedway on Saturday, and the answer according to my race pass was 15, and that makes me the winner because I picked the just under Jerry's pick there. I think he picked 31. I picked 30.
Okay.
I was closest for the show. Doug Frost was closest of our listeners in the comments. He picked 23. So Doug gets a Big D's pizza.
Congratulations, Doug.
Let's get with Dean. That's what I need. I need some cheering or something. Or Dreamweaver. I don't know what this button is. Oh, that's right. That's the race.
No.
That's for Ron coming up here in a bit for the weekend weather pit stop. So this week's how many and a chance to get a Big D's pizza is how many fast 410s plus how many of the GLSS 360 sprints plus how many hat changes has Jerry made during the show tonight?
Oh boy.
And that could count to through the end of the show. So there could still be more.
Yeah, you need to watch to the end of the show.
So again, that's how many fast 410 sprints plus the GLSS 360 sprints, Great Lakes Super Sprints. That'll be at Fremont on Saturday night, both those series, plus how many hat changes. So you got the 410s, the 360s, and hat changes all added together, one number. You don't need to separate them, Rhonda. So that guess does not count. I just want one number of all 3 of those things added up. That's all that will be counted in the comments. If you want to guess, just put your guess in the comments of our Facebook Live or our YouTube Live. And the closest will get a Big D's pizza, courtesy of Dean Henry there, who comes in with a guess of 60. So,
Scott,
he's done a few hat changes. I haven't been paying attention, so I don't know.
you
I have to pick
you won
first,
last week, so you've got to go first.
Fast 410s are going to be about that many plus carry the 4.
Let me help your decision. Remember, the NRA 360s are in action in Plymouth, Indiana, Saturday night.
Are they?
So
that could affect that car count for the GLS.
That could affect the 360 car count.
All right. I'm going to go with 52. 52 is my number.
Jerry?
I'm privy to the hat changes, so I don't want to give up. I'm going to say a total of 58.
Okay.
Well, I was gonna go with 67, but obviously I got to go with 59 now.
Now you're playing the strategy. That's
strategy.
That's strategy. So there you go. So we'll find out what that number is next week on the show, and we'll figure out who the winner is. Again, if you pick the same number as someone else, that's all right. We will spin the Big D's pizza wheel and find out who the winner is to break that tie. Dave Kemmer apparently failed math, so he can't add 3 numbers together. So Dave is out of the running. Sorry, Dave. Let's check out this week's Big D's racing menu before we get to the weekend weather pit stop. Yes, it is time to wrap this up. It's been a long day. Friday night, as Jerry mentioned, is Lima Land Motorsports Park Championship night, family fun night. Is this the second to last night of racing?
Second to last night. Next week would be our awards banquet, which we have right during the races, the King of the Quarter Mile stuff, pit party celebration where everybody is invited over to the pits after the racing's over. We'll feed you. We got drinks. Does cost a few dollars more next week. We'll talk more about that next week, but yeah.
Okay. Championship
regular
night.
general admission.
And the NRA sprints going to be in action. Non-wing sprints, modified, Thunder stocks. Gates open at 4. Racing 7:30. General admission $12. Lots going on at Lima Land tomorrow night. Attica Raceway Park tomorrow night as well. It's Keir's Speed Shop True Alpha Wealth Management Night, featuring the 410 sprints, late models, and the 305s. 1,000 to win for the 305s tomorrow night. Gates open at 5. Racing at 7:45. General admission is $18 at Attica. Saturday night, we've got Oakshade with the Night of Wheels, late model sportsman bombers, full show there, and during intermission, going to be giving away tons of bicycles for all kinds of kids of any age.
I can tell you, one of the bikes is going to be a Lightning McQueen 12-inch bike. So for like a 3 to 5 year old, and it's going to come with a Lightning McSteve T-shirt.
Ooh,
and a couple of Hot Wheels.
Nice,
very cool.
That you could take over to Brian Smith's trailer and race.
Maybe.
Okay. Take it to a different track. That's Saturday night, Oakshade Raceway. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. General admission $14 there. Also Saturday night, Flat Rock Speedway. It's autograph night with the Outlaw Super late models plus the figure 8s and street stocks. Gates open at 5. You can walk on the track to meet the drivers, get those autographs at 6 o'clock. Racing at 7. General admission is $15 at Flat Rock. Shady Bowl in action with the help me with this one. Neil Skiva?
Skiva.
Siva?
Skiva.
Skiva or Siva?
Okay. 51 laps.
It's a memorial race.
Yes.
51 to win.
Yep.
And 51 laps, and that's for the street stocks, right?
The Adams Automotive Street Stocks. You got it.
Late models in action, tuners, Crown Vics, and compacts as well. Grandstands open at 4 o'clock. Grandstand gates racing at 7. General admission $15, I believe, for that.
You got it.
Fremont. It's Ohio Laborers Local 480 and 574 night with the Fast 410s, the Great Lakes Super Sprint 360s, and 305. So all kinds of sprint car racing. No trucks. Trucks are off on Saturday night at Fremont. Gates open at 4, racing at 7. General admission is $18. And Sandusky Speedway taking a break after the 3-day weekend last weekend with the High Miler. So
you did forget one racetrack.
What'd I forget?
Montpelier.
Yes.
Should we add them to
back?
Do we need to add them to the Big D's racing menu? They're kind of outside of our area, but we can expand.
Make sure you go like Montpelier Motor Speedway on Facebook too. They got all kinds of stuff going on tomorrow. Tony Miller mentioned it in the comments. Tony Anderson, driver here out of Lima, is paying for the first 25 people through the gates general admission tomorrow. Or Saturday at Montpelier. And there's a couple other drivers. I know Weasel Flippo's paying, I think, for 6 people. So yeah, you get there early. You might get in for free. There's lots of stuff going on. Very happy, excited for all the commotion going on around Montpelier Motor Speedway, opening back up under the tutelage of Larry Bowes.
And if you missed the show last week, make sure to go check that out. We spoke with Larry Bowes about getting Montpelier open. So he must be on schedule and opening up Saturday night. So what's that weekend weather pit stop? What's the weather looking like, Mr. Meteorologist Ron Miller?
What Ryan Weekman would say if he was on tonight is that this is going to be a spectacular weekend for racing. Temperatures are going to be cool. The humidity is going to be down. The engines are going to be making big horsepower because it's going to be a little bit cooler. It's going to be a great night for racing. You might want to take a jacket because it's going to be just a little bit cooler as the night goes on.
Which night?
All of them. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday if you go somewhere.
All right. There you go. There's Ryan Miller pulling out of his weekend weather pit stop. There he goes. See him? All right. That's about it for this edition of the Hammer Down Racing Report. Thanks again to Bill Brodrick for joining us tonight, the Hat Man. Great conversation with him. What's up? What do you got?
Hammer Down Hotline?
Oh, shoot. That is, yeah, it's right here. Actually, yeah, that's on here. First, I want to thank associate producer Dave Kemmer, field correspondents Matt Swanner, Doug Dock, and John Young. John Young actually was instrumental in getting us hooked up. It was kind of a strange thing because we did the hat thing last week. You were changing your hats, and we kind of talked about the Hat Man. That's how it all came up.
Oh, I see.
And then John Miller took it upon himself to track down Bill and I guess he gave him my phone number, and then he sent me a message like, "Hey, I gave Bill, he's from Illinois, so if you get a call from Illinois, that's I hope it's okay." I'm like, "That's fine." And I was like, "Yeah, right, he'll call." And then yesterday, my phone rings. It's Illinois, and guess who's on the phone? So
that's awesome.
Thanks to John Young for setting that up. So next week on the
Bill
show,
said, race fans are the greatest fans in the world. I mean,
yeah. Well, this is a community show. Everybody helps out. So if you want to be part of the show, you are. If you're watching or listening,
that's it.
Yeah, you're part of the show. Next week on the show, we're going to speak to a legendary announcer that is down at what tracks he work at down in Florida now?
East Bay.
East Bay. That's right. Former announcer at Oakshade Raceway. He's announced at other places as well. He's another gentleman that'll have lots of stories.
Larry has done a lot of monster truck announcing.
And I did not know that. Larry Jewett will be our guest next week on the show. I want to hear him do the Sunday, but I don't think he does that kind of. That's more just the commercials. Saturday. Let's check out the Hammer Down hotline before we get out of here. Why not? Just because it just makes the show a little longer. Here you go. Oops, I hit it twice. Nope, that's the picture. That's not actually doing it. Sorry. Well, where's your hat? You're naked. Your head's naked. Cover it up.
I'll tell you what. Next time I come over there, I'm going to show you how it's done, boy. That's all I'm going to tell you. I'm tired of you being in the way. You're going down, turn down.
I have no idea what the call is about. I just like the very end. There's like a turn signal here. So apparently whoever left that was driving at the time.
Yeah, okay.
And I was laughing at Keyser putting on the helmet there.
Does that count as a hat?
I think so. I think that does count.
Okay, that's a hat.
Yeah.
So it's official. Jerry says that it's a hat. So we're good.
All right. Yeah, let's get out of here. I think it's about time to go. Again, next week on the show, Larry Jewett. Thanks to our sponsors, Oakshade Raceway, Real Geese Silhouette Decoys, Big D's Pizza, Ryan Miller Race Cars, and Freeze Frame Photos. Thanks to you guys for listening and putting up with us. And hopefully Ryan Weekman will be back in the office next week. We'll get the...
Yeah, I was kind of worried when I saw a weather lady on Channel 11
I saw that this morning, and
yeah.
I was like, man, Ryan's not going to get the forecast for us this week. But, we can carry that load. Visit our website, hammerdownracingreport.com. Don't forget to leave us a message on the Hammerdown hotline, 419-318-3081. And that's it. Can you talk with that thing on your head?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, okay. You were like being one of those mascots or something, and you weren't talking.
I didn't want to talk over you.
No, you're fine. Talk over me all you want. All right. We're out. We're support a local track.
Good night, everybody.
Have a great weekend. Go to a racetrack somewhere in your area.
There you go. As long as it's open.
It will be.
Okay.
You have been listening to the Hammer Down Racing Report, available on demand on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting platform.